Welcome to the Arithmetic Zone and welcome back to Introduction to Web Design. Our final website is still underway. So we're back in our code in our final website folder, which is within our CS folder. We use Live Server to view our website. We can see that we made our home page. This is the About page, but if I go to Home, you can see all the information and the image that we put. So today we're going to work on the other pages of the website. We're going to start with the About page, which for now, all it has is the navigation bar in the background. It doesn't have any actual information. So let's fix that. Go back to our code in Visual Studio Code, and let's see what we can do here. So after we have our div for the navigation bar, let's have another div. We're not going to give it an ID yet because we don't know its content yet. But usually in an About page contains information about your mission and vision statements, one or the other, or sometimes both. So let's write in H1 our mission, and then let's write a paragraph. And usually for the mission statement, what you do is you state, the purposes of your company or whatever organization you have, while a vision statement is generally much shorter and it tells you your aspirations and your goals. We're going to do just the mission statement for now, so we talk about objectives and current plans. So WeatherWeb aspires to give their users reliable information about the weather and climate near them. Maybe add another paragraph tag, and we're going to elaborate. We believe that climate awareness is extremely important in the modern world as our environment continues to degrade. Save that and let's look at it. So obviously we haven't put in our new CSS information, which is why our text looks like this, but we can go fix that right now. So back in our CSS file, which I called home.css, but I'm using it for all the files, so it doesn't have really, the best appropriate name. But let's see what we did in the home.html folder. So looks like I gave it an ID of mid, which I referenced in the CSS file right here. So let's do the same in our About page, ID mid. And now we have the text aligned in the center along with it being bigger. So I think aside from the H1, could definitely use some work. Let's give it a separate ID of mission, and then I can just add it right here. I think the font size definitely needs to be a little bigger, so let's say 60 pixels. Alright, that looks good. Let's go back to our home page. So yeah, this basically tells us, all the different services we have, while About is more revealing about, the goals of the website. So I think the About page is mostly fine, but I do want to introduce a new element you can add to your HTML web pages, and that's iframe, which is mostly used for videos. So I'm going to go find a video on YouTube right now, and I'm going to see what you can do with it. So I found this video on climate change made by the IPCC, and I'm not sponsored or anything. I just found this video on the internet, so I'm going to leave the link in the description as well. But I want to put this in my HTML web page. I want to put it as an embedded file link, so that not just as, the video link. I want it so that users can go on this website and then click on the embedded video link and view the video from here. So how can I do that? YouTube has this really cool feature where you can actually gather the HTML tag to refer to this video. And to do that, under the video right here, you press on share, click on embedded, so you can get this embedded video HTML information, and you want to copy it. You can copy it like that, or you can just press this button. Now let's put it in our HTML document. So after this, within the mid tag, let's put it in right here. So pretty long HTML tag, but this is an iframe, and if you look at all these properties like width, height, and source, you can get an idea of what it does. And if we go back to our website, we now have an embedded video link. I'm not gonna play it because, you know, I don't want to try to get copyright striked or anything like that. You can do that on your own. But iframe definitely has a lot of strange properties that I'm not gonna go in detail with, but just know that this is an option if you want to share videos online and put them on web pages. And remember this allow full screen property right here. It's easy to forget. Without that, you can't, you know, go full screen. I'm gonna go ahead and find another video I can put in. Here we have another video on climate change. Alright, well, it looks like it just played an ad without me knowing, and then here's another ad. Oh well. But it's by National Geographic. Again, I'm not sponsored. Go check them out yourself. Video link will be in the description. But we're gonna again go to share, press embedded, and we're gonna copy the all this information. And I don't want it to play right now. So again, let's go back here, copy and paste, or paste the file that you just copied rather. And it's mostly the same information, I think, for almost all YouTube videos, particularly ones made in HD. The width and height are always 560 and 315 respectively. The only difference between these is really the source, but you should always when finding embedded YouTube links, you should always copy the link directly from the video. You shouldn't, you know, use this as a model because the width and height might not, you know, always be the same. Go back to our website. So I'm going to close this out, and we have our two videos side by side, but I want to put some space in between them. So what we can do, iframe, and then margin left 10 pixels, margin right 10 pixels. And that gives us a little more space. Let's make it a little larger, 20 pixels and 20 pixels. Don't do what I just did right there. Yeah. Alright. And I just opened up DaVinci Resolve. Man. That technical difficulty aside, we can see that there is a little more space in between the videos now. I think I'm also going to add a border just so that it doesn't look as bare bones as that. So border 4px, black solid, usually my go-to, that in brown. We now have nice borders around our videos. And finally, I think I am going to copy the footer from the home.html page. So right here. And we're also going to include it here. See how it looks. Alright, looks decent. And I think for the about page specifically, I'm going to add in, you know, names of certain people and organizations. So I'm going to add in videos from National Geographic and IPCC. Alright. And this tutorial was brought to you by Rahsun KF of Arithmetic Zone. And just because why not, I might as well put in the Arithmetic Zone logo. So I'm going to be right back. So I went ahead and made a new folder within my About folder for images, and I added the Arithmetic Zone logo inside of it. So now if I want to reference it, img source images /az.png, close it off, see how it looks. Alright, that looks pretty good. So I think that's good for the About page. Now I was gonna go on to the news page today, but I think before we do that, I should cover, or rather review, responsive design, which you might have forgotten about. It is a relatively obscure concept, but essentially we make the website more viewable on mobile devices or any other small device, because right now, you know, this looks fine on a computer, but if I press inspect right here and I press on this is how it would look on a phone, specifically an iPhone SE, and it looks like trash. Go to home and yeah, this looks bad. So if anyone were to view our website on these devices, you know, they'd have a tough time. So let's fix that right now. Go back into our Visual Studio Code, and this is going to be all CSS. Might add a few IDs here and there, but you get the point. But if we want to accommodate for these small devices, if you don't remember, what you do is you write in @media, then put in parentheses, and then write in max width, and then inside we write, you know, the max width of the max amount of pixels that we want these changes to take place. So I usually go for 1030, then write in the brackets, and right here we're gonna refer to all of our different IDs and HTML tags. So obviously the first thing that needs to get fixed is the navigation bar. So why does it look like this anyway? Well, in our regular CSS code, we made two divs. We made a div right here for the image and the weather web text, and another div right here for all the links in our navigation bar. And we have them set horizontally, so I think the first thing we can do is have it set in a column. So let's go back into our home.html and observe what we have here. So two divs inside of nav. So clearly nav is going to have its flex direction as a column. Let's see if that works. Alright, solid improvement. And home, timeline, about, and use, all of that needs to be smaller and text aligned in the center. So again, let's see what we got here. So we can refer to this as nav text. So nav text. Let's make the font size smaller, like 20 pixels. Text align in the center. And I think flex direction should be in a row, but I think it already is. Yeah, so I don't like how it looks right now, and we gotta see what's happening right here. So look above, and it looks like it's because of the margins. So let's get rid of this and replace it with margin 0 pixels. Alright, now I want there to be less space in between, you know, each of the links. So again, let's see what we have here. Alright, nav text A has its own margin formatting, so let's remove all that. Or at the very least, let's reduce it to 5 pixels. Alright, now they're all in one line, which is what I wanted. I definitely want weather web to also not... I think the image, yeah, the first div is also a little messed up. So let's see what we can do here. So left nav. So hashtag left nav. I think the text align should be in the center, but yeah, that looks good. And the image is a little squished, so how can we fix that? Well, the image is squished because there isn't much space in that div in the first place, so we're gonna have to make that image smaller. Let's say 75%. Oh, that actually made it bigger. 20%. And then what if I do it for both? Alright, so let's do 40%, 40%. Alright, that looks decent. And then I want to add more space, you know, below all these links. So again, let's go back into our CSS and see what gives it that salmon background color. Alright, so hashtag nav, and what we want to do is add a bit of space at the bottom with padding. Let's say 10 pixels. Alright, now the nav bar looks much better on mobile. Let's see if these effects are maintained in the other pages, and they are. So that's why I wanted to use only one CSS file, because we didn't have to do this 4 different times. So now let's adjust the rest of the content. So obviously the margins are too wide here, so I think it's caused from body. Alright, no it's not. It might be from mid, and it is. Mid has all this space being generated, so let's fix that. Let's reduce it to 30 pixels on each side. Alright, that looks much better. I think this text should also be a bit smaller. Usually you make text larger in mobile, ironically. But let's see what we have here. So I think it's mid P. So hashtag mid P, font size 30 pixels. Alright, there we go. Now this image is weird because it's clearly not, you know, responsive, but it's not in the center. It's like off to the side. So, and that's caused by the image's long width. So we're gonna definitely have to adjust that. Let's see if I gave it any ID, and I didn't. Hashtag, but it is in the mid div. So what we can do, we can copy this, and instead of adjusting the border, we gotta adjust the width. So let's say 50 pixels. I don't have any, you know, any intuition as to how large that is, but let's see. Yeah, I had a feeling that was way too small. 200 pixels. Honestly, doesn't look too bad, but yeah, definitely a little bigger. 300 pixels. And that looks like it does the job. And now all of a sudden our homepage looks much better. Now let's work on about. So yeah, our mission is a little too big. So let's see what we can do about that in the about page. So luckily I did give it an ID, so hashtag mission, font size, let's make it 50 pixels. Alright, much better. And again, you know, these videos are gonna have to adjust the width on those. So let's see what we have here. They don't have any special ID we can use, but we can refer to them as just iframe, because those are the only instances of them in the entire website. So let's give it a similar width to the image earlier, 300 pixels. Oh, and right, that is true. If you're adjusting video width and height, you are gonna have to do both the width and the height at the same time, and that's why I'm probably just gonna use percents, so that way I don't have to be calculating, you know, how many pixels to divide by. So 50%. Alright, not really the best result. 75. That seemingly does the job. And then yeah, that arithmetic zone logo gonna have to be adjusted as well. So footer, img, let's say width, let's put it at 300 pixels. Alright, that seemingly does the job. I just want to add a little more space in between all that, all those lines of text. So for every p tag and footer, add a few pixels to the bottom. Did that work? Let's make it 30. Yeah, that worked. Alright. Alright, so now our home page and about page are pretty much done and fully responsive. We can go back and see how it looks on PC, and there's no visible changes because these effects only take effect once the width of your display is less than this amount of pixels. So we're going to tune in tomorrow and we're going to work on the news page, where I plan to use objects to make, a whole bunch of fake news articles or news stories that we can put in. And then after that, we'll have another video on the timeline, which is going to be the main functionality. So I'll see you guys later.